Hey everyone, welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev. Woo woo.
Good morning, or well, good afternoon right now, actually.
Yeah, it's good afternoon to us. We're recording a little later than we usually do, and that's okay because we just are flexible that way,
That's right.
right? So,
That's right.
do what?
I just said that's right. We're kind of a little bit choppy.
Okay. Is it a delay for you?
It was, but seems to be on it now.
All right.
We seem to be running good.
We're just figuring this stuff out while we're recording, and it's okay. So you can always
That's right. Here we are.
fast forward the video if you don't want to hear us chit-chatting. Like, it's okay.
And if you don't want to hear us chit-chatting, you'll fast forward and hear us chit-chatting because that's how
That's
it
right.
rolls out.
Because that's what we're going to be doing anyway. So,
It's true.
isn't that funny?
It's true.
Oh,
It
good.
is. So how are things?
Interesting, for sure. So, I mean, when I'm talking about flexibility, I'm talking about flexibility right now because I have different types of people and personalities that I'm intertwined with into being a caretaker. It's, I'm the family friend. I'm the adopted family. So having actual family be there and me in their presence and, getting the sense of the dynamics is a great awareness for me as to how I'm doing because very quickly, and I'm not saying this as a judgment, I'm saying very quickly, I'm very aware of their energy when they're showing up. And then I know how to interact. I know how much or if more I need to be aware of my own energy. I've been doing a lot of visualization. I have a person who's a family member who's with us right now who has nervous energy and anxiety energy and can't sit still. Has to be constantly moving. So if he's in the recliner, he's rocking and rocking and rocking and rocking. And if he's sitting still, his foot's moving and his hands are moving. And so being aware of that and not allowing myself to absorb that energy into my, and so I'm aware of that. So I actually have the brother and sister in the house. Okay. So the brother has that anxious energy. He just got here. So I've been with the sister for a few days and she's been okay. He showed up, she's like fucking flea, buzzing around and being all, I'm like, okay. I know what's going on here. Y'all don't, but I do. So in me, just taking a breath and just not absorbing or giving so much attention to how their way of being is, if that makes sense.
Perfect. Yes.
Because what we focus on grows. So if I give my attention to being irritated by their energy, then it's just going to expand and get worse. And my energy, and I'm saying this, I'm very proud of myself. I have to say this. I'm very proud of myself, but my energy and presence in the home is keeping things calm and uplifting. And I have been thanked many times for bringing that type of energy into the home. So I really do. I love watching the dynamics around with people, having the conversations. Some are open to the conversations we have, some are not. Some are interested, but still reserved, So it's knowing how to intertwine information into conversations without being the woo woo or the weirdo or the crazy neighbor type of thing.
Gotcha. Makes perfect sense. And it You have to wonder, like, because like you said, you're trying not to absorb it, or you actually are not absorbing it. You're there and you're not absorbing it. You're putting out your own energy, which is a huge lesson for so many people because they don't recognize until they're in a situation where they're paying attention, just like you are. You don't recognize just being calm in a situation just before you even go over there. For me, I'd probably be like, okay, I'm going over there. I got all my angels. I got my universal team around me. They're supporting me, keeping my energy uplifted. I'm going to go over there and it's just going to make it's just going to flow out to everybody. And we don't realize how much that has such an impact until you're in that place. That's why I say play with it. Do I always play with it? No, but I think about it.
And it
But the
will
next
get your
time I get better and
attention.
better with it, sometimes that's right. Sometimes I have to be smacked around a little bit before I'm like, oh yeah, wait a minute, I could play.
Oh,
This could be fun. It doesn't have to be miserable. And going over there and instead of taking on others' energy, because I don't think people realize how quickly we take on other people's energy. It's so easy. You've probably been doing it your whole flipping your life, really. You've been in tune to others less than you've been in tune to yourself, most people. And it's like we don't realize you could be sitting there and like next thing you know, in the energies that you just described, next thing you know, you're like irritated. Like you're just irritated. You don't know why. But then you start asking yourself questions. Is this my energy? No. Or you just start looking around the room and noticing other people's energies. Oh, so okay, I kind of dip down. And a lot of times when we're having a conversation with someone, if we're not coming into that conversation with a higher energy, we automatically find ourselves dipping down with them. And when I say dipping down with them, it's like finding a commonality in that conversation. Like, oh yeah, I've experienced that kind of stuff too. Next thing you know, you're in a whole negative conversation about what everybody's experienced instead of actually enjoying the moment that you brought over there, this energy that you brought over there that can be enjoyed. So it's pretty awesome that you get to experience this and that
yeah,
they do too, that they can bear witness to it.
yeah. And it's, even in a time where we know somebody's going to be transitioning, we're not sure when, to still keep the joy. Like we can still laugh, we can still enjoy each other's company, we can still be lighthearted and be playful. We don't have to sit here and be in our sorrow already. We don't have to focus on the the illness or the disease, right? Because that makes you sad. And so um, knowing, and it takes, and actually it's taking, I, so let me say this, I have to be aware, even higher awareness of myself, because of the the density of the energy in the house. So I mean, like, we got to open the doors, we got to open a window, we clear this room of some air, get some fresh air in here, right? So it's being aware of that, but also because there's, and please know this isn't right or wrong, the family's energy is lower. That's just because of who they are right now. My practice is to get my energy higher and to maintain my energy in the presence of um, 3 or 4 lower vibrational people and somebody who's sick. So it it's it's helping me hone in even more about how am I feeling when I'm on this um, higher vibration, keeping everything up, bringing humor to the room, laughing. And if you're not, because I've done this before too, if you're not aware of that, you can very easily give so much energy into trying to make other people happy that you're draining your own energy, and that can be exhausting. That can really wipe you out of your
Absolutely.
energy because you're giving your energy instead of like bringing and bringing your energy and being in it. You're more focused on, so it's being, I'm trying to explain, I don't know if I'm explaining this right. I am focused on my joy. Let me put it that way. I'm focused on my joy. what's happening in the household doesn't get to define my joy.
That's right.
So I'm the
That's
ball of
awesome.
sunshine, right? I'm the ray of sunshine. And as long as I am focused on my joy and being joyful within myself, knowing that that's where I want to be, then that is automatically being emanated to everybody else in the house. If I am going, if I was in a lower type of energy, but I'm walking into the house thinking, okay, I got to keep the energy up. I got to, help these people be a little more joyful. And I got to, right. And now I'm putting these need to things on myself. And that is energy draining. So,
Because you'll never accomplish what needs to be done. It's always a constant need, right?
right. So one is more like working at it, where the other one is I'm focused on my joy. And you
Mm-hmm.
people, anybody, whether it's in this home or anywhere else, you don't get to tell me when I can be joyful or not. You don't. If I'm already joyful, I'm already emanating that energy. But if I'm walking in thinking like I need to do this and I got to help them be joyful, that's work. That's like putting this burden, heaviness on yourself to do something that's um, takes even more energy to do. But if I'm already in the energy of it, it just is automatic. There is no working at it. It's like I laugh,
Mm-hmm.
I crack jokes, I give them a little bit of a hard time, jokingly, not mean or anything, and it's already light because I'm already light.
Exactly.
I'm not working at it.
Because you don't have to, and that's what we talk about when we talk about being effortless, or just being. I mean, these are all those things that we talk about a lot of times. It's just letting that information or that energy kind of flow through us. We're not restricting it by, oh gosh, I'm going to walk in this house. I don't know what I'm going to walk into right now, because it's an unknown, right? But like you said, it doesn't matter. Nothing else gets to define how you feel. It doesn't, and that's a choice. And a lot of people don't recognize how many choices we have on a daily basis. We have a choice every moment. Maybe not how a situation. Sometimes situations happen, but it's how we respond to those situations. And usually, I would say, if we're in a higher space, always we're going to see it in a different way. We're not going to see it in a victim standpoint. We're not going to see it in like, oh my God, like, what do I do? You just kind of, when you're in that higher space like that, it just feels different. You said higher energy, it's funny because that's what I've been doing lately. I have certain things that I've been dealing with myself, and it's like some moments which I dip. It seems like I dip down in this energy, whether I'm with someone or not. So I might get into that space, and then I recognize, wait a minute, why am I thinking all these thoughts right now? Well, that's a clear reminder to me that I'm not in a good high energy space. I'm not as good as I thought I was. But it reminds me, then I'm asking constantly, okay, I want to get into a higher energy. How do I do that? What does it look like? So asking questions to my universal team, and almost it seems like nonstop lately. As soon as I ask, I'm in a higher space. It's like, because when I ask, I'm allowing myself to be in that higher space, and then all of a sudden, those problems that I was looking at, or that situation that I was looking at, does not even look the same remotely at all, because you're in a different energy. You're in a solution energy. You're in a feel good energy. There's no stopping you energy. That's what it's like. But it's a choice, and you have to pay attention to how you feel. And you're not there to fix everybody. You're
No.
not there to fix everybody. I have a friend recently that's been a very close person to myself and my family, and she reached out for help, and it's like, but again, and I've given out information before, and then nothing gets done, so the person doesn't do anything. But it's not my job to fix her. But when she comes and asks me for help, I'll give her some ideas, and I'll tell, like I told her, I said, there's a million things I could tell you, and I'm going to tell you. I said, but it's not going to take one thing. It's going to take everything. And I said, you have to actually do the work. It's up to you. If you want to exist and you want to be here and you want to thrive and live, those are your choices. I can't make you do it for you, but you have such a great influence. We all do. Just by going in there with the intention before you got there, keeping a higher energy. You didn't go in there with the intention of fixing anybody, trying to make anybody feel better. You just went in there feeling good, because that's how fast it radiates off of a person.
Mm-hmm. And
It's awesome.
I got two things I want to hit on. Hopefully I'll remember both of them. One is, I want to I know Bev understands this, but I want the audience to know that, yes, I get somebody is getting ready to transition. Yes, I get that the family is getting ready to, quote unquote, lose a family member, a father, a husband, a brother, an uncle, a grandfather, right? He's getting ready to transition. And yes, I get it that there's going to be some sadness, and there is some sadness around them with being with acknowledging what's going on. I get that. I'm not saying like somebody's dying and we still get to be joyful. No, I've cried. You know, I've had my moments where I've cried because I want that to come out, because my alternative is to stuff that sadness in. I don't want to do that to my body. So I cried, I let it out, but that doesn't mean I have to stay in that. That doesn't mean I have to stay in that sadness when I'm in the presence of them. You know, they can mourn, they can process what's happening in their own way. My perspective is, I think it's a beautiful thing that he gets to choose to release the body, no longer suffer, no longer be in pain. He gets to go home. He's already talking about a couple of buddies that he's seeing that have already transitioned. Like, we're having these conversations. So I think it's a beautiful thing of a transition, not a loss of. And we've had these conversations many times. So if you've been with us for a while, you've heard us talk about that. If not, go back and watch the rest of our videos. So the other thing, now I'm forgetting, I did forget what I was going to say. The other thing was, anyway, I had another example about what you were talking about. But I just wanted to let the audience to know, like, I'm not being heartless by being joyful in the presence of a home where somebody's getting ready to transition. That has nothing to do with it. Nothing.
Well, but and so thinking about on the opposite direction, if you were to walk in there angry or upset, you're not adding to anything in that space. You're actually bringing down. So you're adding to when you go into that space, in a space of joy, knowing they're going to transition. Because we're not going to get out of this life with these skins. I mean, we're going to shed these skins at some point. They are going to go. There's no way around it. But there is so many joys that we can experience right now. And there's no easy way when it comes to transitioning. I had a mother that was dying of cancer, and then we got to be there. I mean, like you're talking about, we would go in there and laugh with her, and she loved it when people came and visited her and stuff. But we went through that whole process, and it's no easy way. It's not easy if you know when they're going to go, and it's not easy when they just surprise you when they go, because that happens too. I've had a few losses in my life. Losses as far as their skins, gains as far as their emotions, because I do have them around. And also something else that kind of catches me, and it's a good reminder, because when my mom was passing, they would constantly hear like so much activity in the kitchen, people in the kitchen, and my mom would talk about certain people that she would see or whatever. And it's to me, that's such a gift and a blessing, because it's like Spirit's way of saying, you're okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. We're right here with you. And to me, that's like flipping amazing. I mean, to me, that's like such a huge reminder, and all that stuff happening, even for the people that are going to be still left here in their skins afterwards, because we really don't ever go anywhere. We just transition from having a physical being to not. But it's such a gift, because they're seeing that there's more to life than what you see right in front of your eyes. So it's also letting them know that Spirit, that even though he's going to transition over, he's here in spirit. Like, you're still going to feel him. You're still going to hear him. There's so many things that you get to experience, and it's more. You get it more often, and it's more special, because it's more of a one-on-one. It's your experience. And the more that we're in a space of joy, like you're talking about it, because we do go through our grieving process, it's part of the process. But it's when you do go through all that stuff, you get to grow through that. It's not, there's so much blessings that come from it. And I know for me, the more that I can stay in a higher space and in more of a joyful space, that I have connection with all those that have passed. There is no disconnect at all. The only time there is a disconnect is when I'm in such a space, if I'm in anger or grief or missing. If you're in a feeling of missing somebody, then you're missing them. You can't have them and miss them at the same time. They're two different feelings. But when I'm in a space of joy, I feel them around me all the time. I hear them. I feel them. I smell cigarettes. It's the craziest thing, but I'll smell a fresh lit cigarette, which was the only smell that I could ever really tolerate from a cigarette. But when you first burn, that first little burn, and I always tell Jim, I said, that's the only smell of a cigarette that smells good. And I'm telling you, he's been in my closets. He's been around. I mean, he does this stuff. Like I'll be walking through, I'm like, holy crap, somebody just lit a cigarette. And we laugh about it because we know that he's there. So,
Yeah.
we just know that he's with us. So
Yeah.
there's so much awesome to be seen. Not that you can't always see that. When you're in
Yeah.
that grieving space, it's not always able to be seen so easily. But that's where you got to feel it. To me, I say you got to feel it. You got to feel through it. You got to cry. You got to be pissed off. Be real freaking pissed off, because I was pissed off for a long time because I did it so good. But I still, it's been what, 3 months, maybe 4 months. I don't know. I'm losing track of time. But I'm having moments all the time. Like I'll be great, and then all of a sudden here comes a release. And maybe that's just a nice way of the soul letting you release a little bit at a time, so it's not so overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So I remembered what I was going to say. So it's just a little off topic of what you were talking about, but we can come back to that because I have stories about that too. Um, the energy. Okay. So, I had one daughter in the home who I was working side by side with through all of this. And, she was going home to her family and another daughter came in. Okay. So the new daughter number 2, is at the house and she's doing the overnight. I get to go home. So I said, in my cheery self, I was like, well, I'll just pray for you that you have an easy night. Okay. That was my intention, right? I'm setting that intention. I'm helping her set an intention for the night. Okay. Because there was a couple rocky nights. Her response, so this is why it's so important to listen to yourself. Her response was, well, I love your optimism, but I walked out the door. I was like, ooh, she's gonna have a moment tonight. And she did. She had like 2 or 3 moments throughout the night with him. Okay. The next night I had to stay there. And
Okay.
so everybody leaves. Actually, I was setting my intentions pretty much all day. It's gonna be easy night. Everything's gonna go well. So I go over, get mom and dad in bed, go get myself set up. And I just kept saying, it's going to be easy night. I got my angels with me. Things are going to be smooth, and just setting that intention for my sleepover night. Okay. Well, I'll just be real clear here. I didn't sleep because of the mother, remember being a mom and they're a new mom and you're listening for every damn noise. And you're like, oh,
And
are
you're
they
just,
awake? Are they awake? Okay, so
yeah.
that's what I was dealing with all night, that type of being aware and alert. And I wanted to make sure I could hear them. And so I didn't sleep well, but it was an easy night. It was 0 issues, none, absolutely none.
Nice. And it's
And
as easy as we let it.
then last night, okay, I stayed at my house. The daughter number 2 stayed again. Up and down, up and down, up and down, like 3 different times throughout the night. So I'm telling you, it's not that I'm just lucky, because you think there's people out there that they're just lucky because all these good things happen for them or everything seems easy. It's that vibrational joy that they have and the you know, things are going to work out. Things are happening for a reason. This is the way I live. Things are happening for a reason. It's okay. So an example of that is, okay, the mom, I usually help her with a shower in the evening. And yesterday I was talking to her and I said, okay, well, tomorrow we're gonna get you in the shower. And she says to me, well, I want to take a shower in the morning. So this was Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, Bev and I usually do our tea time recording. Okay, at 10. Now, with getting the dad all situated with his morning stuff and set, then having to give her a shower, in my head, I could have went crazy. I could have been like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I got tea time at 10 and I got to set up before that to get ready. And right, I could have went in this story and I didn't. I said, okay, all right, well, when I get your husband all set up and done, then we'll get you in the shower. We'll do it in the morning. It's all good. Okay. I had already had this conversation with her. I get home, I got a text from Bev who said, can we change the time of doing tea time? Yes. Yes, we can. I was just like, there you go. I mean, it's a perfect example. I could have went into crazy mode and then everything just would have probably went to shit. Like nothing would have went right. However, I didn't do that. I took a breath. I'm like, and I had it. So you might have gotten my telepathic message anyway, where I was ready to send a text to Bev and say, I have to change the time. But I never had to do that because Beverly texted me first. So I'm good with it.
And it works out. No, and there's so much from that whole conversation I hear, first of all, learning how to, learning that it's okay to change things. You know what I mean? Because I would have done the same thing. I would have stressed about that. Honestly, in the past, that's how I would have responded to that. Like, oh my God, I got to do this. I got to do that. I don't know. Oh, now I'm like, okay, angels, you guys know what I can and can't do. Help me out. I don't know if I overbooked, maybe put 3 people on or 4 people on or whatever it was in the past. I'd be like, okay, help me out. You know what I'm capable of doing. And every single time somebody would cancel or somebody would no show. So, because things are always working out if you let it. But if I would have stayed in the same space, like you said, staying in that same space of stress and wondering how it's going to work out and trying to control it, then it wouldn't have worked out the way you wanted it to work out. But it's like, to me, that's like, it's learning boundaries too. It's like learning, this is only what I can do. This is what I can do right now. And being able to say, this is what I can do right now. Can we do this at a different time or anything? Because before that would have been, I would have just killed myself trying to figure out how to make this work and then still be able to be wherever I needed to be at a certain time. And this, I've learned that we gotta have, gosh, some faith in ourselves and give ourselves this energy, just like you're talking about. It's that when we talk about giving yourselves or taking time for yourself, this is taking time for yourself. When you know that you're not able to do something and saying something about it, when you know that you're going into a situation that might be a little bit crazy, if you're going to go shopping at Walmart, if you can set your intention, you're going to go in there, you're going to get in there, find everything that you want to, that you need, or however you want to phrase it, not need, because needs keeps you in the space of need, but the things you want on a list, and then you're going to meet only happy people while you're in there, and you're going to smile at them, and you're going to have great conversations. The next thing you're out of there. That's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. You don't question it. You don't wonder about it when you get inside. You just kind of, even if you see something off in the distance that seems like a little bit kind of chaotic, it doesn't matter because it's not in your space. It doesn't matter. You might even be like, oh, I hope that they have a better day, or send them some thoughts and prayers to them, or whatever. Life can be so much easier, and we all seem to, I say we all, but a lot of us have a tendency to struggle. Like we have a tendency to be in that struggle, and a lot of people use the motivation of, oh my God, I gotta hurry up, so it gets you pumped, and it gets everything released in your body all at one time so you can keep going. And next thing you know, you're exhausted. But it doesn't have to be that way. So it's just taking the time for yourself, setting up your day, which I've been doing, waking before I go to bed at night, or when I'm in bed, I'm thinking about when I wake up tomorrow, it's going to be so great. I'm going to sleep so good tonight. I'm going to have the most amazing dreams. I've been setting myself up, and I wake up feeling great. I got things to do tomorrow. I'll set myself up where I'm going to enjoy doing these things. Not that I have to do them, not that I need to do them. And then whatever doesn't get done, doesn't get done. It's all right.
Yep. And I know my mother-in-law watches this, so I'm gonna call her out on some shit. I'm gonna share a story, so she's gonna be like, so as an example, she was telling me that she had some lower back issues and she needed to go to the chiropractor. I said, okay, here's my book. So the book, The Secret Language of Your Body, talk about it a lot. It's by Ines Hagal. And I gave her the book. I said, look it up. I already knew because I had lower back issues for a very long time and I knew what it was pertaining to. But she needed to read it. She needed to look it up and she needed to read it on her own. So I gave her the book and she looked it up. And so a little bit later, I gave her some time to process. A little bit later, I said, okay, you want to talk about it? And I said, and she said yes. So I asked for permission first. And she said yes. And I said, okay, well, what'd you learn? And she was telling me, well, lower back issues have to do with finances. Meaning you have a lack of money, you're worried about paying your bills, I don't have enough. It's all lack mentality and fear-based issues around finances. I said, all right. I said, so what stories are you telling yourself? And she told me, and I said, is that really true? So one of the things, just as general, I don't have any money. I said, is that really true? Is that a really true statement? I said, you have money in your account. In fact, you have money in 2 accounts. And so that is not a true story. That's a false statement. So we gotta stop saying that. You have money, you're fine, you're good, you're okay. I said, now, if worse came to worse, do you think me or any other family member would I said, what would be the worst case scenario of you not having any money? You'd end up in the gutter, homeless? I said, and do you really think me or anybody else in this family would let that happen? No. I said, okay, then the stories you're telling yourself are false stories. So as long as you're stuck in those stories, you are going to see it as you don't have enough money. So it's time to start telling different stories. This conversation was last week. Okay, so a week ago. We're going to say within 7 days, we had this conversation. Today, just 2 hours ago, she's telling me she didn't get her stimulus check from December. Okay. Now they've got that one plus, so that was the $600 one. And then they just did the $1,400 one. Right? Okay. She didn't get the $600 one yet. And so today she's like, oh, I got my $600. I said, awesome. That's great. And so we're saying some words and I said, isn't it? And she's telling me all this other stuff that's coming to her. And I said, isn't it interesting? You change your story that now abundance is flowing. Prime example. I said, you were pushing that $600 away. You were creating it to stay at a distance because you kept saying, I don't have enough. That is energy. And that is what we do. We create these things and then we want to say, well, it's the government's fault or it's the teacher's fault or it's the friend's fault or the neighbor's fault or the family member's fault. Check your energy because you got to know, what are you thinking about?
Exactly.
And similar thing with a mastermind group I'm in. A lady's focused on, she posted in our Facebook group, how she's questioning herself because she doesn't have any paying clients. That right there tells you what she's focused on. I'm focused on not having any paying clients. So if I'm focused on not having any paying clients, the universe says, okay, we're not going to send you any clients because you don't have any paying clients. You have to focus on The money is in the bank. I have paying clients. I see myself with these people. I see our interactions. I see myself helping one-on-one people or groups of people. I see myself doing this. It is changing the mindset of how you're seeing or saying anything about your life.
It's being aware. It is being aware. And I will tell you how quick it happens. It manifests so quickly. Everything that you're talking about, I'll have clients on the table and we'll be talking, because I do massage, and we'll be talking about whatever they're going through. And a lot of times I've had, because like attracts like, I've had a lot of similar situations. So then I start talking about my stuff again. And almost immediately, by the end of the day, it's been in my reality, some of the same stuff that I was talking about. And it's about how you're talking about those stories too. Because some of those stories remind you of energy. Some of the stories aren't even true, like you were just saying. We've got stuff in our subconscious mind that we've heard over and over and over in our lives. We've told ourselves over and over and over again. And then suddenly, and I think this is really the biggest thing when people do end up winning the lottery a lot of times, how they say, oh, how the lottery ruined them. The lottery didn't ruin them. Money didn't ruin them. It was just because they had that money and then they constantly worried about spending that money. Then you're constantly in a lack space. So if you're in a lack energy all the time and worried about not having, you're not going to have. It's going to go. And then you're going to be like, where the hell did it all go? But if you're not worried about it and you know that you have it and you're thankful for it and it was a bonus to you anyways, it's going to flourish for you and for everybody around you just naturally. But and that's not an easy space to be in, because I've dealt with that. I've dealt with that actually more recently. So what you're talking about this, it does kind of hit home for me, because I don't always catch the words that I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I have money. I know that I have money, but it's like I still keep, like I constantly keep thinking, oh God, I just spent that. I just did this. I just did that. And I'm like keeping track of what I've spent or what I've lost, putting myself in a lack mentality, which is so easy. But I know the opposite direction, because it's like, okay, I'm just letting it go. I'm just like brushing my hands off. I'm just going to let this go and it's going to work out. And like you said, I wasn't supposed to get my check or my card until April 5th, around that time, which is my anniversary, which is so ironic, which would have been Gemini's anniversary. But it's like, so, and then it's like, but there's like a few things going on in that time frame. But it's like, I know if I just let it go, it shows up every single time. So we can't worry about where money's going to come from. You know, if we're wanting money and we're only allowing it, like it can only come from the government, it can only come from that check or that card or deposit, then you're limiting yourself from receiving money from anywhere. Because money shows up all the time. There's things in your lifetime you don't even flipping know. You could get a check from, you could have a family member that passed away and sent you money. You could have moved and found out you had some stocks or something, and now they've like reached out to you and found you. Money comes in so many different ways. We can't control how it comes in. And that's how it is for energy. We can't control how the good stuff comes in. All we can do is find the best way to be in the highest energy we can at any given moment, really.
Absolutely. And I know this to be true because I've been practicing it, using my visualization since around, I mean, being very diligent about it since about September last year. Even with pandemic and everything going on, I keep visualizing my debts are paid in full, zero balance. So when I think about a credit card bill, zero balance. The statement comes in the mail, zero balance. Or if, online banking, I get the email when it says amount due, zero, right? I have just kept visualizing that over and over and over. And guess what's happening for me? Like, woohoo! I've just been celebrating so much lately because the abundance, the money, energy, abundance is flowing to me to get that done. And it's coming in ways I would have never imagined it to come. Never, ever imagine the way it's coming right now. And so I'm just feeling so blessed and so much gratitude and so thankful. And it's really exciting. And here's something I heard from Wayne Dyer and this was during the times of my lack mentality about money, and I was worried about money and finances. Wayne Dyer's, in one of his teachings, said that if you have money in your purse or wallet or whatever, and it's more, so let's say a waitress, okay, I'm just going to use this as an example, that a waitress typically, you might give them $5 as a tip. Okay. His practice was, if you have $50 in your wallet or purse, give that. Whatever's in your purse, you give it to them. Or whatever's in your wallet, give it to them. That was hard for me to swallow at that time. I was like, I gotta pay my electric bill. It's like, can't just give this other person all the money I have because I gotta pay my bills. That was my mentality. And in practicing abundance and practicing that money is going to flow to me very easily, and no matter, in what way it comes legally, I'm going to be real, that that it's flowing to me from so many directions. I have been tipping more than usual, and I'm like, this person, I am so happy that this money is going to go to supporting them or their families, and just saying like a little prayer in giving. And you'll hear like billionaires, millionaires, all of them give more. They say always give more, give more. I had to get my mindset in alignment with that, and get my mindset where I'm like, money is energy, money comes to me easily. I had to keep telling myself these stories to get my mindset in a space to where when I gave more than what I normally would give, then I could be in a space of, it's okay, because it's going to come back to me even in greater amounts. And it's been working very, very well, I will have to say.
That's awesome. And I believe in that concept too. Because the more that we have, the more that we have to give, honestly. And it doesn't mean that you have to go do that. It doesn't mean you ask for more so you can give more. It just means that you stay in the space of joy, and you're just happily, and you just do. It does feel good. And everything that we do is stimulating the economy, entirely for each person. And we never know why we're doing some of the things that we do. Sometimes I pull over, and if I see someone, and I know that they're in a place of wanting, I just go over and help them. It doesn't matter what they're going to use the money for. It's not my business. It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Nothing. What matters is if I can bring some joy to somebody, then I brought them some joy. If I brought some relief, because we just don't know. We don't know people's stories, and it's so easy to judge. It's so easy to judge, but when we're judging, really, we've been judging ourselves harshly for a long time. So it's just to kind of step away from that kind of energy of being in judging others or judging yourself.
And
we're all doing the best we can.
Yeah, and I would have to say, like, if you typically say give $5 to your waitress, maybe just try doubling it and give her 10. But when you give that 10, you say to yourself, I'm so grateful that I have the ability to give this waitress $10. And I know that money's energy, and it reciprocates and multiplied, right? And it's just easing yourself into having a different money mindset. We got on the money mindset, but it's the same thing with visualizing your weight, your body. It's the same thing with visualizing your career or your relationships. It is diligence, persistence, focus. It's got to be a constant. It has to be a constant. I can't give the waitress $10 instead of $5 and then go, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do now because I just gave her my last $10. And I'm glad I have this money in my pocket and I can share it with you. And I know it's going to come back multiply. I just know it. I just know it. I am experiencing that for myself right now. And I know it to be true.
Nice.
So,
And it's changing the dialogue that's in your subconscious. You know, it's changing the story. So you're not saying the same old story as before. Even when you have money, you're using the same story. So it's just being aware and changing that story. You're changing the dialect. I don't know if I said that properly or not, but anyways, you're just changing your story in your mind,
well,
really.
what we do though is with our words is we program ourselves. And so if, just
Yes.
like I said earlier, if we say, I don't have any paying clients, then the universe says, okay, well, we're going to help you with that. But if you're like, I know people are coming to me in amazing ways by word of mouth, referrals, whatever, they might see my ad, doesn't matter. People are coming to me because they're attracted to the services I have to offer. And I'm so excited about offering my services and helping someone. And the universe hears that and they're like, great, let's get to work. We're gonna line you up with the people that are ready for you. And before you know it,
Yep.
man, you got people contacting you from all directions, and it's amazing. And then that increases the abundance of money
Yep.
energy, and then you reciprocate it, and it just keeps flowing. That's the figure eight of infinity, that to give and to receive.
Yep. It's like, what are you ready for? Really?
Yes, that's
Because sometimes I
great.
would think I was ready for something, but unless we're paying attention to what we're saying out loud or our thoughts, and it's always nice when you've reminded me, like, oh, you're saying that. I get help at home. You know, hey, I don't know if you realize that you're saying that. Like, I was wearing a robe, a white robe, and the dogs came in, muddy faces, slobbers, rubbing all over my white robe. Shouldn't have a white robe, but anyways, I have a white robe, and they come in, and I'm like, that's why I don't have nice things. That's why
Oh,
Mama can't have anything that's nice. And
yep.
that's what I was told. Do you realize that what you just said? And I've heard you say this before, and it's like, we say it like in a not like I was taking it seriously or anything bad. I probably heard someone else say it at some point in my lifetime, and I took it on, or I just started saying it. But it's like I didn't even realize I was saying it. So
Yep.
how it changes, I'm changing my belief, or like how I say I hate shopping because I I'm learning to like it, I guess. But it's
Working on
I
it.
know that if I say I love shopping, it'll be a lot. Yeah, I know you could see it like, oh, here we go. She hasn't gotten through that one. There's a trigger. But that's a lack mentality trigger, because before it'd be like, oh yeah, but I can't do that, or I can't. And now it's like I can, but it's like I still have that dialogue in my head that I've been saying for so long, and then just recognizing it, that Mama can have nice things. And I can have, I'm always wise with my money. We've talked about that before. Just put, just like you said, sharing. And which I do. I try to take care of my girls and those around me and stuff like that. Or if I see someone that's in need, I try to help them out. So it does make a
Absolutely.
big difference.
Yep. And it's habit. It's habit that we say things that way too.
Yes,
I used to say that too. I'm like, I
yes,
haven't, we haven't replaced our carpet yet, and it's been over 20 years. And I'm like, I just kept saying, well, first it was because my son was home and freaking stuff was getting spilled on the carpet all the time. And I'm like, well, I'm not replacing this carpet until he's out. Well, he's been out for 7 freaking years. What's the excuse now, right? But I too kept saying, every time something got spilled, this is why we don't have new flooring. This is why we don't have new flooring, right? So I kept reiterating that story, and I haven't changed that. Well, and then um, the finance got a little strapped financially. So now it's like, okay, I had a lot of work to do, because this is totally from my childhood about lack of money. And so over this, I mean, I've been working on changing my mindset for years in different areas of my life. Last year is when I got focused. Okay. I'm like zeroed in, focused on changing my money mindset. And that's just, I'm like right there. And so the what I've been visualizing is happening now. And then I'm like, okay, we're getting through this, where some debts are getting paid, the money's going to build up. So when the money builds up, it's the flooring's done. Like then I can visualize the floor being done. But for me, I'm doing it step by step because I need to be very, very honed in on what I want right now. So I want to be very diligent in honing in that money is flowing to me easily and my debts are paid and it's getting done. Then I'll go to the next step for that. So it's not like I need to do all of it at once. I I want to practice it. I want to know it to be true. I'm having faith. I'm trusting in the process and it's happening. And it's awesome.
It is awesome. I mean, you're not overwhelming yourself.
No.
You know, if you're easily overwhelmed by that kind of stuff, know what you're capable of. Do you know what I mean? Like you're saying, you know that this is where you're at right now. I mean, could everything be done? Could you have a focus on everything? Sure. But right now you're knowing what you're capable of handling, and you know you're fine with right where you're at. And at the same time, when you're more focused like that, you get to see the stuff through. Like
Yep.
you're seeing the journey and then it happens. You're seeing the journey and then it happens. So that's awesome.
And even me by speaking it to you right now and saying the floor is already done, the floor is already done. Like it's going to happen.
Exactly.
And it's okay. And you know, to be honest with you, because I've had this happen a lot lately too, is it could be somebody might gift it to me. Somebody might give me the money to do
Mm-hmm.
it. The money comes to me somehow. I am not, it's like we talked about this recently, is releasing the limitations on how it flows because we have a particular mindset of how we think the money. Okay, well, now I need to, so right, get the game plan. I need to see 5 clients who's going to pay me $5,000 each. That'll cover the floor and maybe the, you know, the paint, right? So I'm getting this game plan, but I'm taking the action steps to get it. But like you said, maybe some family member left me some bonds from somewhere and the money comes to me in the mail. I'd be like, whoa,
Exactly.
right? So releasing the limitations on how it comes, I am so over that because I tell you what, it's been a great lesson this year in that as well.
It's surrendering control,
Yes,
really.
yes,
And that's been big for me, surrendering, just surrendering. Try because it can want to control everything. When you go through stuff in your life, you feel like you got to control everything. So this doesn't happen again. So I don't get hurt. So I got the bills paid. So this happens. And at some point you lost the whole faith thing. You lost the whole just being thing. And then you got into this control space. But surrendering is huge. For me, it's been huge on a daily basis.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll do the shower this morning. Okay, we're gonna change the time for tea time. Okay, well, you know what? It's they made a movie like that, right? Was it called Yes Man? With Jim Carrey, I think, where he just said yes to everything.
Oh, yes.
People were
Yes.
freaking out and freaking out and freaking out, and then at the end, like everything worked out. Everything was great. And so anyway, yeah, I think
Better than I thought, right?
yeah. So I think that's a good space to leave that because I wanted to share. I said I had stories about my friend who's transitioning, and you had mentioned that people who are transitioning um, will say it's chaotic in the house, and that triggered a story because he's doing that. Like he's having spiritual visitors, okay, not physical. I mean spirit visitors,
Mm-hmm.
and so to him, it's been busy like it's been busy in the house or been busy in his room or it's just been he says it's like a circus in here and there's 2 or 3 people sitting in the living room and we're just like sitting there most of the day and he's saying it's a circus and I'm like okay um but he's having visitors and you know I sense the energy but I don't see the spirits Um, and so things like that are happening. I feel like he is for sure, you know, the out of body experience traveling, because we a lot of times when we're sleeping, our spirit will travel. That doesn't mean you die in your sleep. It just means your spirit's just out having a good time while our body's resting. So he's doing that a lot because the other day, let's see. So we record on Wednesday. So Monday he says, "Man, those roofers are really loud. I could just hear them, and they're just so noisy. All the doors and windows are shut, and there's no house in the near us, like right near us, that are being roofed. None. So you can hear nail guns and pounding, and right, you can hear that stuff." And he's saying how loud it was, and I was like, okay, but he's also taken some heavy drugs, so the hallucinations and stuff. Right? So anyway, he says this, and I'm like, well, there's no houses right near us that are being roofed. So that was on Monday. Yesterday, I had to leave my house. So I get in my car, make a turn, and something caught my attention out of the corner of my eye, and I just, you know, quickly look, and on the next block over, there's a mobile home being roofed. There's no way he could hear that. None. And it was the next day. And that's not to say that they weren't working on it that day that he said that, but I was just like, this is so cool.
That's awesome.
But there are things like that going on. I had two deja vu moments back to back in their home with that family, and with people I've never met.
Okay.
The brother and the sister that are there, I just met them, and with them only, not the other, not the mom or the dad. With them, two back to back deja vu. So when I say back to back, I had a moment in the kitchen with just the sister, or with the daughter, sorry, with just the daughter. And I told her I had a deja vu. I don't always know if people understand what I'm talking about, but I told her that. And she was doing, she was getting in the refrigerator, and I was facing her, and she was getting in the refrigerator. And just in that moment, I was like, I just had deja vu. And she stood up and looked at me, and she had this weird look on her face, and she said, I'm not using the name, so the dad said the exact same thing to her early in the morning when they were struggling to get him from his wheelchair into the bed. She said, he looked at me and said, I just had a deja vu. She goes, he said the exact same words. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. I was like, I'm just like in this, everything. I'm just like, it's so cool. It's so cool. Right. So that happened. And then I don't know, about 10 minutes later, I was sitting in the living room. So it was me, the daughter, the son, and the mom. The mom got up and left the room, and it was just the three of us left. And I looked over and I went, oh my gosh, it was deja vu, just like that. It has been a while since I've experienced that, but to have them back to back like that was just, it was just so cool.
That's awesome, because you don't talk about deja vu very often, and I don't, because it doesn't happen to me very often. But it happened to me recently, which is funny that you say that. And my youngest daughter, she experiences deja vu all the time, like all the time. She's like, I just had a deja vu moment, like all the time. Like, okay, but I know you don't talk like that, because we just don't. These aren't our normal experiences. They aren't. So things are changing. Things are definitely shifting around in this
Yeah, for sure.
amazing world that we live in.
Yep. And and just real brief, this is what it means to me. And Bev, if it's something different to you, then you can say, for me, a deja vu, what it means to me is like, when, this is the best way I know how to explain it. when my spirit decided to come to earth, there was this like, this is our journey, this is what we need to do, right, for our spiritual growth. Okay, so we have this straight line, and you've seen this post on Facebook, and it made so much sense to me. So you got this straight line. Well, because we get into the human body and we get free will and we get to make choices, we do this thing, right, all over the freaking board, all every direction, every U-turn possible. But at some point you cross your path, right? It doesn't matter if you're over here wiggling around, then you come across your path and you do it again, and then you cross. It's the deja vu moment is when I cross that path. Like, bam, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, but then my humanness gets involved, and now I'm back over here somewhere, and then I cross the path, and bam, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and then I'm off it, right? So it's crossing and going, okay, you're where you're supposed to be, but then I get into myself and I'm off in left field again.
Yep. No, I agree with that as well. I mean, I have other beliefs as far as it goes too, but that goes into parallel lives, and there's a lot of stuff there.
Sure.
So, but no, ultimately, I do believe that that is letting us know that we're on the path, or we're on a path that we've been on before in one of our other lifetimes, because there's no time frames, past, present, and future. Blow your mind. It's happening all at the same time. So it's like anything. I mean, it's all happening, but to me, it is reassurance that I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
But you also know that you're where you're supposed to be by the way you feel and stuff too. If you feel good, you're where you're supposed to be. We didn't come here to be in these skins to be angry and pissed off and upset and wonder when the hell we're leaving or be afraid to leave. We came here to enjoy life and feel it. So we might as well make the best of it. Just had another friend that Jim worked with that he just passed away. Yeah, I think it's been 4 months. He just passed away like the last day or so, 2 days. And it was like, oh my gosh. And he worked with them too. He had just left work before Jim had passed. I think it was sometime last year. So it was like, oh my gosh, it's just so crazy how there's so many transitions happening right now that I think so many of us are being affected by these things. And if we can look at it negative, sure, or we can look at it in a positive way because they're transitioning and we have opportunities to see things differently and feel things differently. And there is more to life than being stressed out where you're at right this minute, or just existing, or wondering why you're even alive. Find something that makes you feel alive. Like, our lives are short here in these skins. They really are. It doesn't matter even if we live to be 200, it's still short in comparison. So it's like we need to finding ways to live in this life and really thrive in this life are huge. And it's doing the work. You gotta, and before, if you would have said doing the work, I'd have been like, I got the work for you, because I hated that. It's like, God damn it, I don't have to do any work.
I'm not doing it.
It's not really, no. But it's not really work. It's giving yourself attention. Maybe there could be a different name for it besides doing the work, because you're giving yourself attention. You have been starving yourself of attention probably I have for 50 years of my life. I've been better with it. I could still improve, and I'm going to. But it's like, it's just giving yourself freaking attention. It really is. Doing things that make you happy. Don't do the things that make you unhappy unless you can find a way to make yourself happy about it. Learn how to live life, which I'm learning, and I'm going to pass it on as much as I possibly can, because life is too short. We're here for a short amount of time, so freaking party hardy.
With the words of wisdom from Miss Beverly Brand, we're going to give it an end to tea time right there. Wonderful. Well said. Well said. All right, my friends, thank you so much for being with us and giving us your time and energy by listening to our videos and listening to our words of wisdom based on our life experiences. We'd love to hear from you. You can post in the comments with your questions, or just comments. It's like weird to say post your comments in the comments box, but I mean, okay. Anyway, or you can send us an email, amieandbev@gmail. So it's AMIEANDBEV@gmail.com. And we'd be happy to respond. So with that, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great week.